Hi guys, Mr. Burns here. Couple things to talk about. First of all, I'm sorry I can't be here today. But these instructions will kind of give you an outline of what I want you to do. So, class today. So there's kind of a problem, or not even a problem, but just a change in the overall plans of the course that happened because yesterday or the day before yesterday, I had a bunch of chickens delivered to the school. Unexpectedly, I had expected to have them delivered in a couple of weeks when we were ready for them, which means that we have to change our plans a little bit with regard to how we train the chickens. Normally, before the chickens arrived as a class, we would have talked about how behaviors develop. You guys would have gotten a box, built that box, and then you would be ready to train your chickens when they get here. So here's what this means. First, you need to get a box, okay? Next week on Tuesday, we are going to be taking a box and building it so that, or adding things to it so that you can train your chicken to do a trick. Now, I'll show you some more videos next week about what that kind of looks like, or what a chicken being trained looks like. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I'll show you tomorrow a video of what that looks like. But for now, I want you to start thinking about getting a box. Not too big, but not too small. Like the kind of boxes that paper come in are good. You know, things like a shoebox, way too small. But at the same time, I don't have enough room in the classroom for a really massive box. So you want to get kind of a medium-sized box, and that's where you're going to train your chicken. And you need that by next Tuesday so that you can build your box, and then I can give you a chicken and you'll train it. Today in class, two things are going to happen. First, you're going to take some notes. So you'll need to go get your folder. If you don't already have your folder in your notebook, pause the video and go and get those right now. And if you already have it, you should be opening your notes up to the page on behavior, the 4 questions on behavior development. Okay. Because on the back of that page, you're going to be adding some notes. So when you get to that notes page, this is what you're going to see. And if you could start by just kind of reading this first statement at the top here. What do animal behaviorists want to know when asking, how did the behavior develop? So take a second and read through that. And I'd like you to underline or kind of highlight these 2 main terms, the term innate and learned. And really, what I want you to focus on is an understanding of those 2 terms. Innate behaviors, as you'll see in this next section here, are behaviors that are inherited. This means that you get them in your DNA. It doesn't mean you're born with them. That's not exactly the right way to think about it. But they're sometimes called instinct, and they're controlled by your DNA. They're not learned. You don't need experience to do them. And one of the things you're going to be asked to do with the chickens, as well as with other things, is to identify what parts of a behavior might be innate and what parts might be learned. And the way you can tell if something is innate is an animal can do that behavior, so we look at our next section, our notes, without any prior experience. That's performed completely the first time they try it, and sometimes it's even completed when it's not appropriate. And then there's this kind of additional note here that says it's really important that you don't only think of innate behaviors as things that are present at birth. For example, reproductive behaviors. Think of a bird building a nest. And there's no bird that teaches a bird how to build a nest. Parent birds do not teach their baby birds how to build nests, and yet young birds grow up and return to Minnesota every spring and build nests. And all birds of the same type build basically the same kind of nest in the same kind of place. How's that possible? Well, it's possible because it's an innate behavior. Were they building nests at birth? No. But were they born with the behavior, or were they born with the DNA, the genetic makeup that they would be able to do it someday? Yes, they were. It just took a while to develop. Learned behaviors, on the other hand, require some kind of experience before they start. It begins with some innate behavior, and then it develops from there. So imagine a bird that tries to build a nest on a branch. The branch is a little bit weak. The nest falls off halfway through being built. That bird then looks for another branch that's a little bit stronger than the first branch. That would be learning. Still building a nest using the same basic strategies, but it's learned that it needs another kind of branch that's a little bit stronger. And animal behaviorists are interested in learning how experience can lead to different kinds of learning and different kinds of behaviors. And then ultimately, you're going to have to answer questions about them. But on the back side of that page, I'm going to have you put some notes, and these notes are going to be used as we start thinking about how behavior develops. And for now, these are the notes that I would like you to include. I need you to write at the top of that page, I need you to write notes on learning. Okay, so that's the title you're going to give it. Notes on learning. And then if you want to put in parentheses chickens. So take a minute on the back side of that page, put the title Notes on Learning. If you need to pause, go ahead. And once you've done that, I'd like you then to write out in and underline it, highlight it, star it, training tip number 1. Okay. Training tip number 1 says that when you're trying to train something, you should begin with innate behaviors and then change them. The goal is not to try to teach something, or the goal here, the reason that I'm giving you this training tip is because as you think about what you want to teach your chicken to do, because you're going to get your own chicken and you're going to have to teach it how to do something. And I'm going to show you how to do that, but you need to kind of start imagining what that's going to look like. As you imagine that, your goal is to not try to teach something based on a behavior that's not innate. So an example of this, I had a student a couple years ago that wanted to train her chicken to be a lifeguard. She was a lifeguard. She thought it'd be fun if her chicken kind of jumped into some water and pulled a person out. And I had to tell her that she couldn't do that trick not because it's not possible to train that. I mean, lifeguards are trained. Humans are taught how to be lifeguards. So obviously you can learn how to be a lifeguard, but swimming and the ability to swim is based on innate behaviors in humans. Chickens don't have that innate behavior. So swimming is not something chickens are born with the genetic ability to do. Their bodies don't develop that way and they don't move that way. So trying to teach a chicken how to be a lifeguard is not based on innate behaviors, so it's not possible, right? Now, if we were training ducks, it would be. Ducks are able to swim. It's based on innate behaviors. You could train a duck to be a lifeguard. Not a lifeguard of anything very big, but, they could save something. So as you're thinking about the trick you want your chicken to do, you're going to need to think about what is innate. So underneath training tip number 1, you're going to write down some observations. So you're going to write down, what can a chick do that is innate, period. And then you're going to fill in some things. Now, where are those observations going to come from? One of your classmates has been working with me as a student aide. She's going to help get the chickens out, and everybody is going to get a couple of chickens at your desk. And here's what I want you to do with the chickens. Well, let me say this. I'm going to have the sub wait to get the chickens out until it seems like everybody's kind of got these training tips down and is ready to go. But at that point, the sub is going to bring out the chickens. And, the sub and Kenna, my student aide, are going to help bring out the chickens. And you at your table are going to get a box with a couple of chickens in it and some food. And what I'd like you to do is just observe the chicken. at this point in their life, almost all the behaviors you're seeing them do are innate behaviors. So what I want you to do is just notice, what can they do? What do they do? And I want you to write a list of the things that they do, because those are going to form the basis of the behaviors that you could train your chicken on. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to learn how to start learning how to hold a chicken. Okay, they're in the box, and you guys should kind of try to keep them corralled in the box. Some of them might start trying to jump out, and if they do, just kind of use your hands and keep them back in the box. But everybody should begin trying to pick up the chicken, and the best way to pick up a chicken is to reach. Think of like the OK symbol with your hand, and you reach around their neck with your thumb and pointer finger and make kind of the OK sign around their neck. Not super tight, but just around their head and neck. And then with your other 3 fingers, right, your pinky, ring, middle finger, you're going to reach under their chest and under their legs and kind of lift them up. And you squeeze them not super tight. And you want to hold them carefully so you don't drop them. But holding them this way is a good way to hold them, A, because you have a lot of control over them, but also because they can't really poop on you when they're pointing this way, because any poop that comes out will fall out the backside of your hand, which sounds like, kind of a weird thing to focus on, but you'd be surprised how often people have gotten pooped on in this class. You need to start getting comfortable holding chickens, because you're going to need them as we start training chickens over the next couple of weeks. So with that, I'm going to end this little YouTube video. Make sure you get your notes. Once you've got your notes, show that you've got them to the sub, and then once the sub feels like the class is ready, the chickens are going to come out. You're going to observe them. When you're done observing the chickens and they get put back, I'd like you to take a couple minutes and add that last little bit to your notes here with a list of what can a chicken do that is innate. And I'm going to be looking at that list when I see you guys in class tomorrow. That'll be our starting point. Anyway, I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day, and I will see you on Friday.